Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Outside the Box Score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. Solo show for me again today. Hopefully, in 2 weeks. No show next week. I'll get to that in a minute, but hopefully in 2 weeks, uh, I will have Johnny Gruninger joining me. He had a last minute commitment he had to tend to, so no Johnny today. Um, So you've just got me. Josh is still missing in action. No idea where Josh is. I talked to him the other day. He's very busy this time of year. Uh, and no intern yet. So still working on getting a new intern in here. And hopefully we can do that soon. But quite a few things to talk about. I want to start the show. People watching on YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, which is something you can do with this show every single week. You can go to twitch.tv/marker_box. You can follow me on Twitter and watch there. That's also marker_box. Or you can go to the Score 1260 YouTube channel. We are live on all three of those platforms every single week. But if you're watching on one of those, you will see I'm currently wearing a black Syracuse Mets jersey. Syracuse Mets have a doubleheader starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon after the game yesterday was rained out. So I'm not just wearing this. Pat, I would love to get Dom back on the show. If I can get Johnny and Dom in a couple weeks, that would be unreal. But so if you're watching and see me wearing this jersey, it's not just because of the Syracuse Mets doubleheader later, but it is Syracuse Mets Wall of Fame Day, and Syracuse Baseball Wall of Fame Day. It's they have it at NBT Bank Stadium, but it's really a Syracuse Baseball Hall of Fame. And today they are honoring the 2014 Syracuse Chiefs, who that year went 81-62, were the best team in the International League. Really a fun season to be a Syracuse Chiefs fan at the time. And they're honoring that team at the 10th anniversary. Yes, shout out Syracuse Baseball Hall of Fame member Bob Southworth, old coach Southie. Absolutely deserving of being in there, and I'm glad he is. So they're honoring this team, and I've gone to Syracuse baseball games, Chiefs, Mets, whatever, my entire life. My dad every year gets they used to call it the rail plan or flex plan. I don't know what they call it now. And it's a package where you get 20 tickets, 10 parking passes, food coupons. It's a whole thing through them. It's a great package for people that, like us, who weren't busy enough or were too busy to be season ticket holders. We wouldn't really be able to justify having tickets to every game because we didn't go to that many, but would go to 10 to 20 games a year. Sometimes you would buy two of these plans. That way we would have 40 tickets and would go to quite a few games, but just not enough to justify having season tickets. It's a great package that they offer. And this was the year that I think we probably went to the most games. I was a freshman in high school in 2014. Well, going into my freshman year of high school. And it was just a really fun year to be a Syracuse fan because, like I said, they went 81-62. It was by far their best season pretty much in my lifetime. The Syracuse team has never really been that good outside of this year and 10 years ago. It seemed like they always struggled. But man, this team, I'm so happy they're getting honored because just guys that some of them went on to have solid major league careers and, play quite a few years in the bigs, and others that were at the time pretty hotshot prospects that didn't really work out, but were still exciting to watch. Steven Souza Jr. wins International League MVP that year. In 96 games, he hit 350 with 18 home runs and 75 RBI to go along with 26 stolen bases. Souza would go on to play in the major leagues for a number of years, Washington, Tampa Bay, and is probably best known for his game-saving catch. I believe in that season, I could be wrong, but his game-saving catch to end Jordan Zimmerman's no-hitter for the Washington Nationals. Souza made an unbelievable catch in the outfield. He was a really good defensive outfielder. He was playing left field in that game, I think. spent a lot of time in center as well, but making an awesome catch to end a no-hitter. Yeah, Brian Goodwin was 23 years old, who has since played in the major leagues for a number of years. Pat, yes, JBJ is still down in Syracuse. I have not gone out to see him play yet, but I'm very excited to see Jackie Bradley Jr. in a Syracuse Mets uniform, one of my favorite players from the Boston Red Sox in recent years. Michael A. Taylor, who's still playing in the big leagues, was on this team briefly, but did make an appearance. My dad and I fell in love with this guy, Zach Walters, who is second baseman, shortstop, hit 15 home runs in 60 games for the Syracuse Chiefs in 2014. He was dynamite. He led the International League in slugging percentage. Jim, yes, it is Jackie Bradley Jr., the Jackie Bradley Jr., one of the great defensive outfielders of the last 20 years. He is currently playing in Syracuse. Outfielder Yuri Perez was 24 years old. You had a guy in Sandy Leon who would go on to be the backup catcher for the Red Sox, the Nationals, bounce around quite a bit in the big leagues. He was on Syracuse that year. Just a lot of guys. This was an ultimate naming dudes team. If that's one of your favorite pastimes, like it is mine and my friends, where we just name random athletes. And then you had Blake Trinan in the starting rotation, who went on to be such a good reliever at the big league level. You had AJ Cole, who was a real top prospect in the Nationals organization, 22 years old, who had an ERA just under 3.5, and would go on to pitch in the big leagues from 2015 to 2021. This was the most fun I've ever had as a Syracuse baseball fan. Taylor Hill, who was 25 years old, another prospect that didn't really work out, went 11-7 with a 2.8 ERA, leading the team in ERA. He had 4 complete games, 2 shutouts, leading the International League. And I've got a lot of nostalgia for this team, I guess is the way to put it. This is really the team that I was always a Syracuse Chiefs fan, but really the team that my dad and I latched on to. And I remember going to the playoff game, the first playoff game that they were hosting in, I don't even know how many years it had been at that point. And just a sellout at NBT Bank Stadium, which back then I think was still maybe called Alliance Bank Stadium. And a sellout that was as electric of an atmosphere as whenever Steven Strasburg came to town, or when Bryce Harper was here, when that stadium was regularly selling out whenever those players were here. And it makes me think about this year's team, because this year's team, while they're struggling a little bit right now, it was a couple weeks ago they made it to 25 games over 500, and it was the first time since 2015 that they had been that far over 500. Now they're 63-47, so still a very respectable record, but it seems like this team, with the prospects you've got like Acuna and Drew Gilbert and Mike Vassell on the mound and Dom Hamill, and we saw Christian Scott come through here this year. It really has been a very fun season in Syracuse. You've got Luke Ritter, who leads the International League in RBI with 81, has 23 home runs, currently third. But there just isn't the same buzz around the team that there was 10 years ago. And Syracuse has never been a real baseball town. It's always been a basketball town, going back to the days of the Syracuse Nationals. It's always been more of a basketball town than anything. But I want people to recognize that we haven't seen a team like this in 10 years. Syracuse leads the International League in home runs with 155. This is a very fun team to watch. This is a team that really should be talked about more in this area. We were talking about some of the guys like Jackie Bradley Jr., former Major League All-Star, Gold Glove winner in the big leagues, is on this team. And not just because, oh, he's old and washed up. Yeah, he's 34 years old, but he's a good story. He was playing independent ball, and the Mets signed him to a contract. Now we get to see him here in Syracuse. Yomer Sanchez is another guy that's won a Gold Glove in the major leagues. You've got Drew Gilbert. You've got Luis Angel Acuna. Brett Beatty is still on this team. I mentioned Dom Hamill, one of the top pitching prospects in the Mets organization. Shintaro Fujinami, who's a reliever but throws 101 miles an hour. Bryce Montez de Oca, same thing. Throws super hard. This is the most fun team that we've had in a long time. So I implore anyone, maybe you haven't gone out to a Syracuse Mets game this year. Maybe you haven't checked out or listened to Michael Tricarico and Evan Stockton on the broadcast. You should. If you're a baseball fan, this is as much fun you can have watching baseball in Syracuse, New York. What's going on right now at NBT Bank Stadium. Like I said, they've got a doubleheader today, taking on the Worcester Red Sox, which is always a popular game around here. Check out JBJ play his former team. Came up with the Red Sox, played for Worcester back in the day when they were in Pawtucket. Do yourself a favor, and you'll be able to honor the best and most fun team that Syracuse has had in a very long time, that 2014 team, which, like I said, I have a lot of nostalgia for. And I know a lot of Syracuse baseball fans have a lot of nostalgia for. So if you're going to go out to a game, why not make it this afternoon? You can get two in. It's supposed to be a nice day. I think the rain hopefully has subsided. And go out and check out the Syracuse Mets. And if you can't make it to the stadium, listen to the broadcast right here on the Score 1260. 3:50 pregame today. I'll be in the studio for those two games as well. So you'll listen to the lovely Michael Tricarico and Evan Stockton, two friends of mine who do such a fantastic job on the broadcast. Seems like this was a whole big thing for an ad. It's not. This was not an ad for the Syracuse Mets. The station did not ask me to do this. I just think it'd be a good time to jump on the bandwagon of the Syracuse Mets. We've got to take a time out. We've got a lot more to talk about here on Outside the Box Score. So we'll be back right in a minute on the Score 1260.
For the best local beer in Central New York, the only place you need to look is Myers Creek Brewing Company, with 16 different beers on tap at both the Inner Harbor in Syracuse and the Palace that is the Casanova location. Myers Creek has something for everyone. Want a bite to eat? Both locations feature a kitchen with delicious pizzas, some of the best wings in Syracuse, and much more. Make sure to check out our friends at Myers Creek Brewing Company, the official bar of Outside the Box Score.
Hey, John, what's so glum? I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this. Have you thought about life?
I would just like to say shout out Dave Edwards, the head engineer here, who got this show up and running literally at 10:59 with 45 seconds. So I had 15 seconds until showtime, and we were able to get this show up and running. It was quite the tall task for Dave, but he does such an awesome job. So shout out Dave Edwards for being able to get the show on the air today. Yeah, damn straight stone. Shout out Dave. Best damn head engineer in the business. Yeah, Jim, I agree. and I love SU basketball as much as anybody, but we have a professional sports team here in Syracuse.
Syracuse to Baldwinsville, McGuire is right by you. And now Canandaigua and Grand Island, we're here, and we're committed to making car ownership more accessible for everyone. As a family-owned business of almost 50 years, McGuire has grown by doing the right thing for our customers. From our upfront lowest price guarantee to our 30-day pre-owned exchange program and McGuire Family Assurance. You can even reach our president directly by phone or email to provide feedback on your experience with us. We're also extremely proud to be a major employer with many of our employees living and contributing in the communities we now call home. At McGuire, we're about being right by you and doing right by you with friendly, salaried salespeople.
Yes, USA basketball today. I was going to. I was planning on talking about that, Stone. Sorry, I was getting text messages from people saying that the stream isn't working. Not the Twitch stream, but like the score1260.com, score1260 app. So apparently that's not working, which is great. I gotta say that this whole, was it 16.5 point spread in that game, that seems like a lot of points. Seems like a lot of points. I do need more segments. I had segments back in the day when Steve was here. We had a couple of segments, but when Josh is here, it's hard to really stay on track with segments. Yeah, the U.S. game is 16.5 point spread. We're going to talk about that right when we come back because I think that's a lot of points. Rip Steve, he isn't dead. He just lives in Long Island, I think.
Give us a call today, 315-471-7747. Call, compare, and choose Chido.
Oh, we've still got another commercial. Thought we were coming back.
The 2014 Syracuse Chiefs team, winners of the International League North Division title. Former Syracuse Chief and MLB outfielder Steven Souza Jr. will sign autographs. The first 1,000 fans receive a replica Chiefs jersey. Plus, watch the.
Oh, they're doing Chiefs jersey giveaways at the Syracuse Mets game today. Nice.
Your tickets today.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. Pat, are they going to be giving away an autograph from Steven Souza Jr.? He is going to be at the game signing autographs. So there you go. Souza will be at the game. Like I said, the International League MVP of 2014. So he will be there signing autographs. They're giving away Syracuse Chiefs jerseys, which the team will be wearing today. So that's cool. If you long for the days of the Syracuse Chiefs, there you go. You can go watch the Syracuse Chiefs play today for the first time in a number of years. So, like I said, check out the Syracuse Mets game today or the Syracuse Chiefs game. I want to talk about Olympic basketball. Team USA playing today for the gold medal against France. And first of all, I just saw that the line in that game is USA minus 16.5. That is a lot of points. The United States, obviously, has dominated Olympic basketball for, 30 years, 32 years since the Dream Team now? And outside of 2004, when they ended up winning bronze, uh, has absolutely dominated the Olympic basketball stage, as they should. When you look at a lineup that has Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant as your top 6 minute getters in the last game, yeah, pretty good team. 16 and a half points for a French team that in their last game beat Germany, who Germany's been kind of like the darling of the non-American Olympic teams this year. But a French team that's got Victor Wembanyama, Nick Batum, Frank Ntilikina, Yabu, Celtics legend Yabu. Now, I'm not saying that these are outside of Wembanyama. These aren't MVP level. These aren't all-stars. I didn't even mention Rudy Gobert, Evan Fournier. These aren't top 20 guys like Team USA has, but all legitimate NBA talent for the most part. Yabu not so much. The dancing panda, that's right, Stone. The dancing panda. Celtics legend. You've got Wembanyama, who's coming off a Rookie of the Year and is going to win MVP in the future. Rudy Gobert, multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. Evan Fournier, who is still living in Knicks fans' nightmares, I think, and Celtics fans. Nick Batum, who's been around a long time. Legitimate NBA talent. And the USA just beat Serbia, who, granted, has Nikola Jokic, has which Bogdanovic is it? Is it Bogdan or Bohan? I don't remember. But they have a Bogdanovic, one of the two Bogdanoviches. Nikola Jovic, the evil twin of Nikola Jokic, I think. Not really, but it's just funny to me that there's Nikola Jokic and Jovic in the NBA. And you have a Team USA or a USA team. It's Bogdan. Okay, thank you. You have a USA team that is coached by Steve Kerr and is not doing that great of a job, in my opinion. I've been quite disappointed with Steve Kerr's performance as the coach of the Olympic team. I know we had that great comeback against Serbia the other day. There is no reason the Team USA should have been down 17 points to Serbia. I know I was just naming guys that are on that team. It's not like Jokic went off and had a triple-double. He had 17, 11, and 5. All right? It wasn't MVP Jokic that we saw in that game. And he played 38 minutes, so it's not like he was riding the bench for most of the game. It took a historic comeback to beat Serbia by 4. 16 and a half points against France, which has more NBA talent than Serbia does. And Steve Kerr, who refuses to play Jason Tatum for whatever reason. And I'm not just saying that as a Celtics fan. He's got to get in there at some point. DNP coach's decision for Jason Tatum in the game against Serbia. I don't know what Steve Kerr has been doing with these lineups, but I don't like it. Drew Holiday and Derek White have been getting, in my opinion, too many minutes. Derek White only played 7 last time out against Serbia, but it seems like they're playing a ton of minutes, and a guy like Tatum, who's a legitimate superstar, top 10 player in the league, gets the shaft. USA basketball seems to have been kind of in shambles since the departure of Coach K with his good buddy Jim Boeheim as an assistant coach. Because we've got Kevin Durant not starting, which, whatever, fine. He still plays 24 minutes off the bench, played more minutes than Drew Holiday, played the same amount of minutes as Devin Booker, who's in the starting lineup. I just don't get what he's doing. I know when you've got this many star players Anthony Davis only played 10 minutes. Bam Adebayo only played 10 minutes. Anthony Edwards only played 13 minutes. You got to spread the love. Everyone's got to get their playing time, except Jason Tatum, apparently. Just says, screw you, Jason. You're kicking you to the curb. And they expect us to beat France by 17 points? I don't know if we beat France, let alone beat them by 17 points. I do think we're going to beat France. I mean, if the line was 7.5, 6.5, that would make a lot more sense to me. Just weird. Maybe Vegas knows something I don't, and by maybe, I mean Vegas always knows something that I don't. But it's certainly strange to see a line that big in the gold medal game of the Olympics between two countries that, obviously the U.S., but France is getting more and more well known for their basketball ability. We've had back-to-back number one picks in the NBA draft come out of France. Just seems a little odd to me that that's 16.5 points. If I were a betting man, oh yeah, I am. I definitely lean taking France on the spread there. But that's just me. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to bet against the United States of America in the Olympics. Even though with Serbia winning the bronze, my trifecta that I had for Olympic basketball is no longer viable. I had a trifecta that was the United States to win gold, France to win silver, and Germany to win bronze. And Serbia ended up beating Germany in the bronze medal game. So that plus 1,800 right out the window. It's a shame. I was really hoping that one was going to hit. That one was going to be fun. But if you want to watch that Team USA game, that's 3:30 p.m. on NBC. NBC has been the home for the Olympics the entire time. So make sure to check that one out. I'll be watching that one from the studio. I'm currently watching the gold medal match between Brazil and USA in women's soccer, currently tied up 0-0 in the 26th minute. Shocking. There's a 0-0 draw in soccer. We've got to take another timeout. We'll be back. Phone line's open today, by the way, 315-671-1260. If you want to chime in, that's 315-671-1260. Call during the breaks. I can screen your call. We'll bring you on right after. You're listening to Outside the Box Score right here on the Score 1260.
If you're a fan of local craft beer, the only place you need to go is Myers Creek Brewing Company with 16 brews on tap at both the Cazenovia and Inner Harbor locations. Myers Creek has the best selection of locally brewed libations in all of central New York. Want a nice hazy IPA? The Velvet Fog is a must try. More of a traditional Pilsner, how about the Floating on By? And for you sour drinkers, the It Takes Blue to Mango. So crack open a cold one with the official beer of Outside the Box Score, Myers Creek.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. You don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation.
Oh, yeah. I'll say this on the air as well, but no show next week. I will be working the member guest at Bellevue Country Club, one of the bigger member guests in the Northeast. Coming up next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I'll be at Bellevue from 11 to 7 on Saturday. We're not going to do the show. And then show will be back the week after that. So in 2 weeks, we'll have a show again. And then in 3 weeks, no show again. I'll be in Ohio. That day I will be attending the Ohio State Akron football game. So that'll be fun.
By the time they do call, they built up a huge pile of bills. They're in a bad place. Then they have to settle for some fast cash instead of getting what they deserve, the maximum. Injured? Call me, Joe Stanley. Don't wait. Don't hesitate.
Past performance does not guarantee future outcomes. StanleyLawsuits.com, 1-800-608-3333. Syracuse, New York,
Stone, how you doing, buddy?
Find a local plumber, right? Plumber near me.
Hey there, we can help you.
Weird. These are all big companies.
Excuse me. We're a plumbing company 2 miles away. Hello?
Oh, it is what it is. Guess I'll dial that 1-800 number.
Can she seriously not see us?
No, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local plumbers. You're invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost. Get found. Get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com.
Hey, it's Marty from 95X and my fiance Denise at Welching Company Jewelers.
I'm so mad that the White Sox lost yesterday. I'm a man who I have a principle when it comes to betting. Always bet a team that fired their coach or manager. Which one do I like more? Oh God, what are my options here? Men minus 16.5 or women minus 15.5? Women. The women in a heartbeat.
Your satisfaction is our mission. That's why we're Central New York's most trusted experts in residential roofing. Schedule a free estimate at Top Tier Roofing.
I don't like that 16.5 number for the men. I really don't. I think that's way too many points. Yeah, I was hoping the White Sox would beat the Cubs yesterday after firing Pedro Grifol, who is by all accounts a moron and a terrible manager. Especially since I heard my guy Grady Sizemore. Love Grady Sizemore. One of my favorite players growing up. Back when he was on Cleveland, just electric.
Extended cabs, crew cabs, heavy duties. Take your pick. We've got them all. And remember, at McGuire Chevrolet of Baldwinsville, you will always get our upfront lowest price, guaranteed. McGuire Chevrolet of Baldwinsville, your silver.
Yeah, we got 26 people watching right now. We're living.
Wanted. Together, let's drive. McGuire Chevrolet of Baldwinsville.com.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. I have a bone to pick with the Chicago White Sox, and it's not just because they didn't win last night when I bet them after firing their manager. So I saw a stat. This was a while ago that I saw this stat, but it remained true even after I saw it. Pedro Grifol, who was the manager that the Chicago White Sox fired the other day, they're 28-90 on the season, by the way, on pace to be worse than the 62 Mets. And I saw a stat. There had been two managers in the history of Major League Baseball to have managed a team for more than 200 games and have a winning percentage below .333. It was Pedro Grifol of the Chicago White Sox and the guy that managed the Phillies during World War II, who was a dentist. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but that was the stat where the Phillies, it was World War II. Obviously, half of Major League Baseball is serving overseas. And so Major League Baseball was in this very weird spot during the war where managers and players are gone. And they just had to find kind of people to play and manage. And the Phillies hired this dentist to manage the team during World War II. And obviously they were terrible because a dentist was the manager. And I think in the stat, he actually had a higher winning percentage than Pedro Grifol. Total winning percentage over the course of their time there. So there's really it's no exaggeration if anyone were to call Pedro Grifol the worst manager in the history of Major League Baseball of the Chicago White Sox. And the White Sox organization as a whole, and you can say this about the Chicago Bulls too, which I wonder what those two teams have in common. Reinsdorf. Um, and the White Sox started this thing a few years ago, this trend that I really hate in baseball. And the St. Louis Cardinals did a very similar thing with Oliver Marmol, where they have an old school manager. And with the White Sox, it was Rick Renteria. And with the Cardinals, it was Mike Schilt. That is kind of an old school guy, but it understands the modern game enough to be able to make the proper adjustments and has at least some level of success. The White Sox weren't great. The Cardinals were a playoff team. Mike Schilt is a much more egregious example of this, but the White Sox did this first, where the White Sox had Rick Renteria and a guy that was bilingual, that the entire clubhouse loved, and had some success as the manager of the White Sox. Right when they were supposed to be getting good. This is a few years ago. And that's when Robert was coming up, or Robert, however you say his last name. Eloy Jimenez was young. They still had Jose Abreu, and there were a lot of pieces that it seemed like the White Sox were going to be this up and coming team for the next 5 years. And Rick Renteria was at the head of that. And then he gets fired. And before they go to a guy like Pedro Grifol, who was just pretty much a puppet for the front office, and the front office of the White Sox has been terrible for a number of years, they go to Tony La Russa in one of the strangest managerial hires of all time. They're like, no, we don't like this old school guy. We want the guy that's even more old school and is going to make even dumber decisions. I don't know why they did that, but the La Russa experiment doesn't work. And then they go to Pedro Grifol, who, and like I said, is very similar to an Oliver Marmol in St. Louis, where you fire this guy and bring in the guy that is just going to do whatever the front office wants him to do. And I think this is more egregious, like I said, in St. Louis, where Marmol never gelled in St. Louis. I mean, really just no one really liked him. He was clashing with the players, or still is clashing with the players all the time. And I know he's got a career record over 500. His first year there, they win 93 games. They win the Central. They lose in the wild card series to Philadelphia. But then last year, the Cardinals are a mess, and he's got this beef with Nolan Arenado, and he's got beef with a lot of guys in the locker room. And he's 38 years old with zero experience before they end up hiring him. Like, in terms of being a manager, he's been a coach for a long time, but he was 35 when they hired him. And he's just a puppet for the people who run the Cardinals. And it just doesn't work like that. If you put me as the general manager of a Major League Baseball team, the last thing I want is to have a direct impact on the on-field performance of the team. Because outside of Chris Young, Chris gets a little bit of a pass for this with the White Sox because he used to be the second baseman for the Royals. But outside of the guys that played professional baseball at a high level, I don't want to overstep my manager, who I hire to put the lineup together, to keep the clubhouse unified, everything like that. Why would I, as just the average guy who happens to be running a baseball team, think that I can do a better job of putting a lineup together than the manager? And it all goes back to the Moneyball philosophy, which worked only because Billy Beane was a former Major League Baseball player, where he would call up Art Howe and they'd have that conversation like, no, I want Hatteberg at first. You can't play Pena. And it obviously worked out for Carlos Pena. He went on to be an all-star, hit over 300 home runs in the big leagues, was a slugger for a long time. But before that trade, he was just the young guy in Oakland. So it worked in that case, but like I said, that's only because Billy Beane was a Major League Baseball outfielder. He knew what to look for in lineup construction, where a guy like John Mozeliak, he doesn't know what he's doing when he's putting together a lineup. But they bring in these guys like Marmol, like Griefel, who end up being puppets for people that don't really know what they're talking about. And then they get fired and blamed for the poor performance of the team when it's not entirely on the manager. And that's why Schilt got fired, is because the Cardinals front office would try to have input on lineup decisions. And he was like, no, I'm the manager. I make the lineup. You don't. So the guy gets fired, and now he's in San Diego, I think, is the bench coach. And it's just strange to me. And the White Sox are further proof that this style of running an organization is not only unsustainable in the long term, it's unsustainable in the short term. The White Sox are loaded with talent, or were before they made some trades, but we're loaded with talent. And now they're 28-90 and on pace to be maybe the worst team in the history of Major League Baseball. So I don't know. Maybe these GMs and managers will start listening to me at some point, but I doubt it. Got to take another timeout. We'll be back in just a minute here on Outside the Box Score. Phone line's open, 315-671-1260. That's 315-671-1260. If you want to chime in, we'll be right back.
For the best local beer in Central New York, the only place you need to look is Myers Creek Brewing Company, with 16 different beers on tap at both the Inner Harbor in Syracuse and the Palace, that is the Cazenovia location. Myers Creek has something for everyone. Want a bite to eat? Both locations feature a kitchen with delicious pizzas, some of the best wings in Syracuse, and much more. Make sure to check out our friends at Myers Creek Brewing Company, the official bar of Outside the Box Score.
It's a renovation celebration at Hyundai Cicero. For construction sale event.
I didn't realize the Syracuse Mets games were on SNY today. That's great. They've been showing, like, when the Mets don't have a game, they tend to show either Syracuse or Binghamton. Sometimes Port St. Lucie. But the SNY has been showing minor league baseball on the network more, which I think is very cool. And it's cool for Michael and Evan to be able to get exposure to the rest of New York State. People flip on SNY, and there they are. I know they also put them on Sundays. They do the CW sometimes. You want to watch that little preseason football there, Jim? They will never make me care about preseason football. Eagles played last night. I didn't even consider watching a snap. Oh, is Daniels playing today? Eh. Still, I don't care. I'll see him in the regular season. I mean, like, why would I care? Like, I just, for just out of curiosity, I just went to the NFL page on ESPN.com, and their top story is where the Broncos QB competition stands heading into preseason opener. It's down to rookie Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham. I couldn't care less who starts at quarterback for the Denver Broncos when the conversation is between Bo Nix, who I like. I'm an Oregon guy. I like Bo Nix. And Jarrett Stidham. PU. All the preseason is drama that I want nothing to do with. Oh, and another thing. I saw some of the break dancing in the Olympics. Well, what they do is undoubtedly very impressive. And if I tried to do anything they would do, I would snap both of my legs in half and probably my neck and be dead or paralyzed within a number of seconds. We've really got this in the Olympics now? What? It's unbelievably athletic what they can do and incredibly difficult. But come on. This is the Olympics. This is the greatest international competition of sport in the world. Rhythmic swimming, at least it's swimming. At least it's something. I also think it's kind of stupid, but at least it's in a pool, which is where they hold some of the greatest Olympic events. Breaking? They don't even call it break dancing. They call it breaking. That replaced baseball.
Join Hospice at NBT Bank Stadium on August 14th for our Film on the Field, presented by Hematology Oncology Associates of CNY. Enjoy a night of film entertainment and family fun for all ages. Angels in the Outfield will be this year's feature film. Bring your blankets and chairs.
I can't believe they took baseball out of the Olympics for break dancing. Boo! The IOC stinks.
This family fun event at filmonthefield.givesmart.com. Advance sale tickets only.
And we're back outside the box score with Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse, right here on the Score 1260. Jim and I were just talking during the break about the addition of breaking to the Olympics. And while I understand that everything they do is unbelievably athletic, is incredibly difficult, and I would likely end up paralyzed or worse if I tried to attempt anything that these Olympic breakdancers do. That replaced baseball in the Olympics, and rhythmic swimming replaced softball. At least rhythmic swimming is in a pool, which is the home of some of the great events in the Olympics. But breakdancing, they call it breaking, but breakdancing, replacing baseball, a sport, it just blows my mind. Because I saw some of it, and like I said, it's unbelievably impressive. And these are great athletes in their own right. But this is the Olympics. Come on. I don't care if this is a boomer take by me. I don't care in the slightest. Just insane to have that be in the Olympics, in my opinion. In this humble journalist's opinion. We gotta do something about this. Because it's just strange. I don't like it one bit. We were also talking about about preseason football, and my Philadelphia Eagles played last night, and I didn't even consider watching a snap. I don't even know what the score was in that game, because I will never care about preseason football. Let's see. Friday, apparently the Eagles won 16-13. Cool. We beat the Ravens with Josh Johnson, Devin Leary, and Emory Jones. taking snaps at quarterback, and Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee were under center for the Eagles. I really, the people who get super into preseason football, and one of them works at this station, Paul Esden, Boy Green, gets super into preseason football, and God bless him, because that's a real football fan right there. That is the definition of a real football fan. Is he's going to be all sorts of gassed up for his Jets to play the Washington Commanders at 12 o'clock today on NFL Plus. And he's going to watch every snap of that game and be just as enthralled as he would if the Jets were playing in the Super Bowl. But I just can't do it. And I've gone on record before saying football is probably my fourth favorite professional sport behind baseball, golf, and basketball. So I know I'm not the world's biggest NFL fan compared to guys like Boy Green. But obviously I follow it and watch it every single week. But Jim said this could be as close as Jets get to a Super Bowl. Yeah, it's my fourth favorite professional sport, Jim. It's baseball, golf, basketball, football. And just because I enjoy basketball as a sport more than I enjoy football. But I still watch every week during the regular season. I still get super hyped for Eagles games. I'm a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. But you couldn't pay me to get into preseason football the way some people do. It really blows my mind. I don't understand how guys like Boy Green can get so into preseason football when Kyle Allen had 193 yards, a touchdown, and a pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers last night. I can't do it. I just can't do it. We've got to take one more time out. We'll be right back here on Outside the Box Score. With me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse on the Score 1260.
If you're a fan of local craft beer, the only place you need to go is Myers Creek Brewing Company, with 16 brews on tap at both the Casanova and Inner Harbor locations. Myers Creek has the best selection of locally brewed libations in all of Central New York. Want a nice hazy IPA? The Velvet Fog is a must try. More of a traditional Pilsner, how about the Floating on By? And for you sour drinkers, the It Takes Blue to Mango. So crack open a cold one with the official beer of Outside the Box Score, Myers Creek.
The Score 1260's Maggie and Perloff are must-listen radio.
Yeah, it's just
Maggie Gray and Andrew Perloff.
Depending on the day, it can switch with basketball. Sometimes it's third, sometimes it's fourth. But to me, like for my personal watching and enjoyment, it doesn't even come close to baseball or golf. It really doesn't. Those are easily my two favorite sports. Outside of curling, of course. Curling is the best Olympic sport. And I don't even really get into full NFL mode until like around Halloween, because that's when the World Series ends. I'm not fully into the NFL season until the World Series is over. Outside the box score, what's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, Ron, I'll throw you on hold and bring you on after the break, okay?
New York State is home to the McGuire Automotive Group.
We've got a caller. It's Ron from Utica.
For almost 50 years, we've grown and now bring you 18 new car brands across 18 different locations. You've heard about our upfront lowest price guarantee and our excellent reputation for outstanding service. McGuire would also like to introduce you to our exclusive McGuire Family Assurance Program. When you buy a new or pre-owned,
I know Josh is the big NFL guy out of the two of us. That's why during football season, I just let him go sometimes on the NFL because he's much bigger into it than I am. You got to know your partner, you know. Toss him a bone on the NFL every once in a while. Let him talk about the Cowboys, even though that's the last thing I usually want to talk about. I don't know at this point if Josh is associated with me. I talk to him like twice a week.
Winners of the International League North Division title, former Syracuse Chief and MLB outfielder Steven Souza Jr. will sign autographs. The first 1,000 fans receive a replica Chiefs jersey. Plus, watch the Mets take on the Red Sox. That's Wall of Fame Day, Saturday, August
10th, presented by NBT Bank. Get your tickets today.
And we're back outside the box score with me, Mark Rowlands, your home for local sports in Syracuse on the score 1260. Jumping over to the phone lines, we've got Ron from Utica calling in. Ron, what's on your mind? No. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Billy Hamilton was a freak. I remember when he was coming up with the Reds and absolutely lit up Yadier Molina and the Cardinals in one series for like 7 stolen bases in 3 games. And just as a coming out party saying, yeah, I know Yachty throws everybody out. He's not throwing me out. And he didn't. That guy was an absolute freak of nature. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember seeing that highlight. That guy could play a mean center field. Hey, it probably would have helped him. Yeah. Anything else on your mind, Ron? It's I say it's because baseball is the ultimate sport of averages. The law of averages is more prevalent in Major League Baseball than it is in any other sport. A guy will go on a hot streak where he hits 550, but if he's a career 250 hitter, then you know he's going to hit a buck 50 for the next month after that, just to average things out. Yeah, exactly. So that's why is because in baseball everything always regresses to the mean. Oh, thank you very much, Ron. Thank you for calling in, and we're about to end the show, so I hate to cut you off short, but thank you very much. All right, there he is, Ron from Utica calling in. Jim just reminded me, I wanted to say no show next week. I will be over at Bellevue Country Club. We've got our member guest coming up next week, the John Copper Bogey. So it's going to be a big week over at Bellevue. I won't be able to do the show. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, not next week. So that'll be, I don't even know what day that'll be. That'll be the 24th. We'll be back doing the show. So make sure to tune in then. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks to Jim, Pat, Stone, everyone that was talking in the chat. Thank you to Ron for calling in at the very end there. No show next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And yeah, we'll be able to talk about SU football when I come back, which is going to be a lot of fun. So see you in a couple weeks. Same time, same channel, 11 a.m. on the score 1260. Peace.
Drive home with Maggie and Perloff. Afternoon.